Captain Jake Morrison stood in front of the big screen on his ship's bridge. The USS Defiant had been flying through space for 8 months now. They were far from Earth, further than any human ship had gone before. Their job was simple: find out what was out here and report back home. For the past 3 months, they had been listening to alien radio signals. The signals came from something called the Zephyrian Empire. These aliens had many ships and controlled lots of star systems. Lieutenant Amy Carter was the best at understanding their language. She worked day and night to figure out what they were saying. "Captain, you need to see this," Amy said. She looked worried. Her hands moved fast over her computer. "The alien signals have stopped." Jake walked over to her station. "What do you mean stopped?" "I mean completely stopped. For 3 months we heard them talking all the time. Ship movements, supply reports, new colony updates. The signals never stopped coming. But 6 hours ago, everything went quiet." Jake felt cold inside his chest. "How big an area are we talking about?" Amy pulled up a star map on her screen. Red dots showed where the signals used to come from. Now they were all dark. 12 star systems, Captain. That's a huge area of space." Commander Lisa Hayes came over to look at the map. She was the ship's weapons expert. "Captain, if their communications stopped everywhere at once, something bad happened to them." Dr. Kevin Walsh joined them. He was the ship's science officer, always asking questions about everything they found. "The last signals we picked up, do we know what they said?" Amy nodded and played back the recording. The alien voices sounded scared. Even though they couldn't understand all the words, fear was the same in any language. "Unknown vessel approaching. Single craft. How is this possible? All battle fleets moving to intercept." Then the signal turned to noise and went quiet. Forever. "A single craft?" Lisa said. "One ship did something to make 12 star systems go silent." Jake looked at the map again. Each red dot represented multiple alien worlds. Billions of aliens lived in that area. Now they heard nothing from any of them. "Keep listening," he told Amy. "Scan all frequencies. If anyone is still alive out there, I want to know." The next 2 days were quiet. Too quiet. The USS Defiant moved closer to the silent zone. Jake couldn't sleep well. He kept thinking about what could make an entire empire go quiet at once. On the 3rd day, Amy ran to find him. "Captain, I'm picking up a signal. It's different from the alien ones." Jake followed her back to the communications station. "Different how?" "It's using human communication methods, but the ship design doesn't match anything in our database." On the main screen appeared a ship unlike anything Jake had ever seen. It was bigger than the Defiant, with dark metal hull and strange weapons. Battle damage covered its surface, burn marks, dents, and holes that had been patched up many times. "They're trying to contact us," Amy said. "Put them through." The screen changed to show a man's face. He looked tired, like someone who had been fighting for years. His uniform was different from Earth's military uniforms, but clearly human. "This is Captain Sam Mitchell of the UES Retribution," the man said. "We've been looking for you people for a long time." Jake felt his mouth open in surprise. "UES? What does that stand for?" "United Earthship. Though I guess Earth has been calling itself something different these days. We've been out of touch for a while." Lisa stepped forward. "Captain Mitchell, where did you come from? That ship design isn't in our records." Sam Mitchell smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "We're from the colony ship Freedom that left Earth 200 years ago. We were supposed to set up a new world in the Kepler system. Things didn't go as planned." Kevin looked confused. "The Freedom was declared lost. No contact for over a century." "We weren't lost," Mitchell said. "We were fighting. The aliens you've been listening to, the Zephyrians, they found our colony world when I was 12 years old. They tried to kill everyone living there." The bridge went quiet. Jake could hear the ship's engines humming, but no one spoke for several seconds. Captain, Amy whispered. The silent zone. Did your ship? Mitchell nodded slowly. 47 Zephyrian battle. Fleets were hunting us. We led them into the Helix Nebula and took them apart ship by ship. It took 3 days to finish the job. Lisa's eyes went wide. 1 ship against 47 fleets? That's impossible. No, ma'am, Mitchell said. Just difficult. When you're fighting for your life every day for 80 years, you learn new ways to fight. You get better weapons. You get mean. Jake felt his world changing. Everything he thought he knew about humans in space was wrong. Captain Mitchell, we need to talk. Can you come aboard our ship? Already on my way over, Captain Morrison. Fair warning, my people have been fighting aliens for most of their lives. We might seem a bit different from Earth humans, but we're still human where it counts. The communication ended. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew looked as shocked as he felt. Amy, send a message back to Earth. Tell them we found something important. Tell them the Zephyrian Empire might not be as strong as we thought. What? Should I tell them about Captain Mitchell? Jake thought about it. How do you explain finding humans who had been fighting an alien empire for 80 years? How do you explain that 1 ship had destroyed enough alien fleets to make 12 star? Systems go quiet? Tell them we found family, he said finally. Tell them they've been fighting for us all along, and we didn't even know it. 2 hours later, a small shuttle from the Retribution docked with the Defiant. Jake went to meet their visitors when the airlock opened. 6 people came through. They all looked like soldiers, even the ones who weren't carrying weapons. Their eyes moved constantly, checking for threats. Captain Sam Mitchell was older than he looked on screen. Gray hair, scars on his hands and face. Behind him came his officers, tough-looking men and women who had clearly seen many battles. Permission to come aboard, Captain Morrison, Mitchell said. Permission granted. Welcome to the USS Defiant. They shook hands. Mitchell's grip was strong, like someone who had learned not to show weakness. Before we start talking, Mitchell said, There's something you need to know. The Zephyrians know about Earth now. Our fight with their fleet sent out signals. They'll be coming for your home world. Jake felt ice in his stomach. How long do we have? Mitchell looked at his watch. If they send their main battle fleet, about 18 months. Maybe less. Can Earth's defenses stop them? Mitchell shook his head. Not with the weapons you have now. But don't worry, Captain Morrison. We've been learning how to kill these aliens. For 80 years, it's time we taught Earth how to fight back. The crystal towers of Nexus Prime had never seen a fleet like this one. 50 human warships moved in perfect formation toward the Galactic Council's capital world, their hulls gleaming with weapons that shouldn't exist and armor that alien science said was impossible. Admiral Patricia Stone stood on the bridge of her new flagship, the USS Constitution. 6 months had passed since the siege of Kepler Station, and humanity had used that time well. The ship around her was built using alien technology, but improved by human engineering to levels that amazed even Earth's best scientists. Admiral, called Captain Ryan Davis from his position at the tactical station, we're receiving surrender offers from 3 different alien fleets. They don't want to fight us. Patricia smiled. Word of human military capabilities had spread through the galaxy faster than their ships could travel. The stories that aliens had once dismissed as fiction were now treated as intelligence reports on human battle doctrine. Signal the fleet, she ordered. Maintain formation. We're not here to conquer. We're here to negotiate. But they need to understand that humanity's position has changed. On the surface of Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The massive chamber that had once echoed with discussions about conquering primitive Earth now filled with arguments about how to survive contact with an enemy whose legends had proven to be operational manuals. War Master Thex stood before the assembled representatives, his red scales darker than usual. Council members, we face a crisis unlike any in our history. The humans have proven that their military stories were not fiction, but historical records. Every tactic we dismissed as impossible has been used against our forces with devastating effect. Admiral Zefek, his forearms moving nervously, added to the report. Our intelligence was completely wrong. These humans do not create fantasy stories to compensate for weakness. They create stories to preserve the memory of their greatest victories, and they use those memories as training materials for future battles. Dr. Vex, the tall gray scientist who had once studied human entertainment media, presented her latest findings to the Council. I have completed a full analysis of human cultural databases. What we classified as fiction includes detailed records of battles spanning thousands of years. These beings have been perfecting the art of war since before our species discovered fire. Council member Yorth's tentacles writhed with agitation. But how is this possible? Their bodies are weak, their senses are limited, and they have no natural weapons. How can such creatures be so dangerous? Because, said a new voice from the chamber's entrance, we don't fight with our bodies alone. We fight with our minds. The council turned to see Ambassador Claire Foster walking into the chamber, flanked by 2 human Marines. Behind them came Captain Jake Morrison, his uniform bearing the scars of his months in alien captivity and his subsequent guerrilla campaign. Members of the Galactic Council, Claire said as she approached the speaker's platform. I am Ambassador, Claire Foster representing the United Earth Government. I bring terms for peace between our species. War Master. Thex rose from his seat. Human, you speak of peace, but your fleets have destroyed hundreds of our ships. Your soldiers have captured our worlds. Your tactics have proven that everything we thought we knew about warfare was wrong. That's right, Jake said, stepping forward. You studied our history and decided it was all made up because you couldn't imagine anyone fighting the way humans fight. You thought stories about Thermopylae and D-Day were fantasies. You never considered that we might actually be that tough. Claire activated a holographic display that showed the current military situation. Human fleets controlled key positions. Throughout the galaxy, alien supply lines were under constant attack by Jake's irregular forces, and more human colonies were declaring independence every day. The balance of power has shifted, she said calmly. But Earth doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to be part of it, as equals, not as conquered subjects or primitive curiosities. Admiral Zefek stood up, his blue skin pale with fear. What are your terms, human? Claire pressed a button, and the holographic display changed to show a document written in 12 different alien languages. First, formal recognition of humanity as a sovereign species with equal rights in all galactic matters. Second, immediate cessation of all hostile actions against human colonies and ships. Third, establishment of trade agreements and technology exchange programs. And if we refuse? Asked War Master Thex. Jake Morrison stepped forward again, and this time his smile was not friendly. Then you'll find out what happens when humans stop playing nice and start playing for keeps. You've seen what we can do when we're being careful, not to hurt you too badly. Do you really want to see what we can do when we're trying to win? Throughout the chamber, alien representatives looked at each other nervously. They had read the reports from every battle with human forces. The humans had won every engagement, but they had also shown restraint. They captured enemy ships instead of destroying them when possible. They took prisoners instead of killing defeated enemies. They offered surrender terms instead of fighting to the death. But the reports also showed what happened when humans were pushed too far. The complete annihilation of Admiral Corthex's fleet at Kepler Station, the systematic destruction of Carillion mining operations, the ghost-like raids that left alien supply convoys as floating wreckage. Dr. Vex accessed her databases and displayed them for the Council. Council members, I have analyzed human military doctrine based on their historical records, the records we once thought were fiction. If these beings decide to wage total war against us, they will not stop until either they achieve complete Victory or their entire species is extinct. There is no middle ground in human thinking. That's not entirely true, Claire said. We prefer cooperation to conquest. But we won't be anyone's slaves or subjects. Treat us as equals, and you'll find we make better allies than enemies. Admiral Stone's voice came through the chamber's communication system. Council members, this is Admiral Patricia Stone of the United Earth Defense Force. My fleet is in position around your capital world, but our weapons are not charged and our fighters are not launching. We're here to talk, not to fight. But if you choose to continue this war, you should understand that everything you've seen so far has been humanity holding back. The silence in the chamber lasted for several minutes. Finally, War Master Thex stood up and looked directly at Ambassador Foster. What guarantees do we have that humanity will honor these agreements? He asked. You have our word, Claire replied simply, and if you've studied our history as carefully as you claim, you know that humans keep their promises, even when it costs us everything. Jake added his own thoughts. You spent years studying our stories about honor, duty, and keeping faith with allies. You decided those were fantasies too, but they're not. They're the principles we actually live by. The vote took 6 hours of debate, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The Galactic Council had learned too much about human military capabilities to risk continued warfare. The Nexus Accords were signed by representatives of all 12 species, formally recognizing humanity as the galaxy's newest major power. Admiral Stone returned to Earth a hero, but she knew the real victory belonged to people like Colonel Miller, who had held Kepler's station against impossible odds, and Jake Morrison, who had turned capture and imprisonment into the foundation for a guerrilla campaign that helped win the war. Dr. Elena Rodriguez led the new technology exchange programs that revolutionized both human and alien science. The combination of human ingenuity with alien knowledge produced advances that neither species could have achieved alone. But perhaps the most important change was in the Galactic Council's archives. The vast databases that had once classified human military history as Terran fiction were updated with new labels. Now the files were marked historical documentation and strategic analysis, critical threat assessment. The galaxy had learned that when humans told stories about impossible courage, unbeatable determination, and never giving up no matter what the odds, they weren't creating fantasies. They were making promises. And as every alien species in the galaxy now knew, humans always kept their promises. In the final report filed with the Galactic Council, Dr. Vex wrote a single sentence that would be studied by alien military strategists for generations to come. Human legends are not stories about what they wish they could do. They are training manuals for what they will do. The stars themselves seemed brighter now that humanity had claimed their place among them. And in the deepest archives of Nexus Prime, alien historians began the long process of rewriting everything they thought they knew about the small blue planet and the impossible species that called it home. The legends were real, and they belonged to the stars. The meeting room on the USS Defiant had never held such important talks. Captain Jake Morrison sat across from Captain Sam Mitchell and his officers. The air felt heavy with things that would change everything. Major Carol Stevens was Mitchell's, second in command. She had short black hair and eyes that missed nothing. When she spoke, everyone listened. "Show them the recordings, Tony." Lieutenant Tony Rodriguez was their engineer. His hands were dirty from working on machines, but his mind was sharp. He pulled out a small device and put it on the table. Light came from it, showing pictures in the air. The pictures showed space battles. Jake had never seen anything like them. The UES Retribution moved through enemy ships like a shark through small fish. Alien vessels exploded or broke apart as the human ship fired its weapons. "This was last month," Mitchell said quietly. "Zephyrian 7th Fleet, 80 ships. They were hunting a refugee convoy. Aliens trying to escape from Zephyrian control." On the recording, Alien ships fired at the Retribution with bright energy beams. The human ship's shields held strong. Then the Retribution fired back. Its weapons cut through alien ships like they were made of paper. Dr. Kevin Walsh leaned forward, studying the images. Your weapons technology is decades ahead of ours. How did you develop this? Lieutenant Rodriguez smiled, but it was a hard smile. When aliens are trying to kill you every day, you learn fast or you die. We took apart every alien ship we could find. We studied their technology. Then we made it better. Commander Lisa. Hayes looked amazed and worried at the same time. That ship of yours, it's not just better armed, it moves differently, faster. 80 years of upgrades, Mitchell explained. Every battle taught us something new. Every dead crew member made us work harder to improve. The ship you see now is nothing like the colony vessel we started with. Communications specialist Janet Cole spoke up. She was quiet, but when she talked, people paid attention. The aliens don't fight like humans. They use the same tactics over and over, same formations, same attack patterns. After a while, you learn to predict what they'll do. Jake felt confused. But they have a huge empire, thousands of ships. How does one human vessel survive against all that? Mitchell's face got dark. Because we had to. Captain Morrison, let me tell you what really happened to our colony. The room went quiet. Outside the windows, stars moved slowly past as the ship traveled through space. The Freedom reached the Kepler system in 2387. We found a beautiful world. Good air, clean water, rich soil. 50,000 colonists started building a new life. I was born there. It was home. Mitchell paused, looking at something far away that only he could see. When I was 12, the Zephyrian exploration fleet found us. They didn't try to talk. They didn't ask questions. They just started shooting. Orbital bombardment. They killed 30,000 people in the first hour. Lisa put her hand to her mouth. 30,000? The survivors got to the ships and ran. But the Zephyrians followed us. They hunted us across space like we were animals. We learned to fight because the only other choice was to die. Janet Cole pulled out another device. More pictures appeared in the air. These showed alien ships attacking defenseless human settlements. Buildings burning. People running and screaming. This is what they do to every species they find, she said. The Zephyrian Empire doesn't make treaties. They don't trade. They conquer or they destroy. Dr. Walsh studied the recordings. Are they all like this? Every alien species? No, Mitchell said. The Zephyrians have conquered hundreds of other species. Most of them are slaves now. They work in mines or factories. The lucky ones get to serve on Zephyrian ships. Tony Rodriguez brought up new images. These showed alien beings in chains, working in terrible conditions. We've rescued thousands of them over the years. Most are grateful. Some even fight with us now. Amy Carter had been quiet, but now she looked up from her station. Captain, I'm picking up more signals. Zephyrian communications are starting again in the outer systems. Mitchell stood up fast. They know we're here. The fight in the Helix Nebula sent out signals. They'll be organizing a response. What kind of response? Jake asked. Major Stevens answered. Everything they have. The Zephyrian Empire has never lost an entire fleet before. This is new for them. They'll be scared and angry. Lisa looked at her tactical displays. How many ships are we talking about? The main battle fleet has about 6,000 ships, Mitchell said simply. Plus support vessels, supply ships, and garrison fleets from occupied worlds. The number hit Jake like a punch. 6,000 alien ships heading toward Earth. Even if every human ship worked together, they couldn't win that fight. There's something else, Janet Cole said quietly. The Zephyrians don't just want to destroy Earth. They want to capture humans alive. Why? Dr. Walsh asked. Mitchell looked tired suddenly. Very tired. Because we're the first species that ever fought back, and 1. They want to study us, figure out how we did it. Then they want to breed us like animals to make better slave soldiers. The room went dead quiet. Outside, stars kept moving past the windows, but inside, nobody moved or spoke. Finally, Jake found his voice. "How do we stop them?" "We fight," Mitchell said. "But not the way Earth's military thinks about fighting. You people still think about war like it's between countries on the same planet. Fair fights with rules and honor." Tony Rodriguez laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "There's no honor in space war, Captain Morrison. There's no fair fights. There's only winning or dying." Carol Stevens brought up tactical maps showing ship positions. "The Zephyrians fight with huge fleets because they always have more ships than their enemies. They use simple tactics because they never needed complicated ones." "But they've never fought humans who had time to prepare," Mitchell added. "Every battle we've won taught us something new about fighting in space." Jake looked around the room at his officers. They all looked scared but also determined. Earth was in danger, but maybe they had a chance. "What do you need from us?" he asked Mitchell. "First, we need to get word to Earth. They have to start building better weapons and training better fighters. Second, we need to slow down the Zephyrian. Response. Give Earth time to prepare." "How do we do that?" Mitchell smiled, and this time it was a real smile. A dangerous smile. "We do what humans do best, Captain Morrison. We cause trouble. Lots of trouble." Amy looked up from her station again. "Captain, I'm getting new signals. The Zephyrian fleet movements are getting organized. They're coming this way." Mitchell nodded like he expected this. "How long until they get here?" Amy worked at her computer for a moment. "Based on their usual travel speed, about 6 days." "That's enough time," Mitchell said. "Captain Morrison, I suggest you send your ship back to Earth with a warning. My crew and I will keep the aliens busy out here. You can't fight 6,000 ships alone," Lisa said. Mitchell's smile got bigger. "Watch us." Fleet Admiral Zextoth stood in the command center of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. The massive crystalline vessel was the pride of the Zephyrian Empire, bigger than 3 human cities put together. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at glowing control stations. But today, the Admiral was not proud. He was angry and confused. "Show me the reports again," he ordered his aide, a younger Zephyrian with nervous eyes. The aide activated a holographic display. Numbers and ship positions filled the air with blue light. 7th Fleet, 12th Fleet, and Outer Rim Defense Force, all destroyed. Total losses, 2,416 vessels. Zextoth's 4 arms moved in anger. In 3,000 years of empire, no single battle had cost them so many ships. And this was done by how many enemy vessels? According to the few survivors, Admiral, just 1 ship. The command center went quiet. Officers stopped working to listen. 1 ship destroying over 2,000 Zephyrian vessels was impossible. It had to be impossible. "What species built this ship?" Zextoth demanded. "The survivors report the attackers called themselves humans, Admiral." Zextoth had never heard the name before. His computer systems had no record of humans anywhere in known space. "Where do these humans come from?" "Unknown, Admiral. But we have detected their communication signals. They appear to have a home system, about 18 months' travel from here." The Admiral walked to the great windows of his ship. Outside, thousands of Zephyrian vessels moved through space in perfect formation. The sight usually made him proud. Today, it made him think. "General Keftar," he called to his military advisor. The general approached with quick steps. He was older than the Admiral, with scars from many battles. "Yes, Admiral?" "In your experience, what kind of species can build ships capable of destroying entire fleets?" General Keftar thought carefully before answering. "In 3,000 years of conquest, we have never encountered such a species, Admiral. Most races surrender after losing a few ships. Even the most warlike species we've conquered never caused losses like this. Then these humans are different. Very different." "Admiral, Zextoth made his decision. Send orders to all fleet commanders. Begin full mobilization. I want every available ship converging on this human home system. All ships, Admiral? That's over 6,000 vessels. Yes. If these humans can build ships this powerful, we cannot. Allow them to build more. We will destroy their entire species before they become a threat to the Empire. The aide looked worried. Admiral, what if there are more human ships like the one that destroyed our fleets? Zextoth turned away from the window. Then we will discover just how many ships it takes to kill them all. Meanwhile, Jake Morrison was having the hardest conversation of his life. He sat in his private quarters talking to Earth through a communication link that took hours for each message to travel back and forth. Admiral Parker, you need to understand how serious this is, Jake said to the screen. The aliens are coming to Earth with 6,000 ships. Our entire space fleet has maybe 50 vessels. Admiral Susan Parker was the head of Earth's space forces. She was smart and tough, but she had never fought aliens before. Captain Morrison, are you certain about these numbers? Yes, ma'am. Captain Mitchell's people have been fighting the Zephyrian Empire for 80 years. They know exactly what we're facing. There was a long pause while his message traveled to Earth, and her response came back. What do you recommend, Captain? Jake had been thinking about this for hours. We need to start building better weapons immediately. Mitchell's ship has technology decades ahead of ours. His people are willing to share their knowledge. Another long pause. Then Admiral Parker's voice came back, sounding tired. Captain, even with better technology, we can't build thousands of ships in 18 months. No, ma'am. But we might not. Need to win a big battle. Mitchell thinks we can fight them differently. Jake looked out his window. In the distance, he could see the UES Retribution moving through space. Even from far away, the ship looked dangerous. Admiral, these humans have been living as warriors for 3 generations. They've learned how to fight an enemy with more ships, more weapons, and more soldiers. They've learned how to win. When Admiral Parker's response came back, she sounded more hopeful. What's Captain Mitchell's plan? He's going to slow down the alien response, give us time to prepare. But Admiral, he's going to do it with just 1 ship against thousands of enemies. That's suicide, Captain. Jake shook his head, even though she couldn't see him. No, ma'am. That's what they've been doing their whole lives. The communication ended. Jake walked to his bridge, where his officers were watching the Retribution prepare for battle. The human ship was loading weapons, checking systems, and getting ready to face impossible odds. Amy Carter looked up from her station. Captain, I'm monitoring Zephyrian communications. Their fleets are moving fast. They'll be here in 4 days, not 6. Lisa Hayes checked her tactical displays. The aliens are organizing differently than before. This isn't just a hunting party. This is a full military assault. Dr. Walsh was studying readings from the Retribution. Captain Mitchell's ship is doing something to its weapons systems. The energy levels are increasing. Jake opened communication with the other ship. Captain Mitchell, are you ready for this? Mitchell's face appeared on the screen. He looked calm, like a man who had done this many times before. As ready as we can be, Captain Morrison. My people have spent their lives preparing for fights like this. The odds are terrible. The odds are always terrible, Mitchell replied. That's why most species surrender to the Zephyrians without fighting. But humans don't surrender. We get mean. Major Carol Stevens appeared next to Mitchell. Captain Morrison, we need you to do something for us. When the battle starts, record everything. Your ship has better long-range sensors than ours. You want us to document the fight? We want Earth to see how it's done, she said. If we don't make it through this, someone needs to learn from our tactics. Jake felt cold inside. You think you're going to die? Mitchell shrugged. We've thought that every day for 80 years. It hasn't happened yet. Tony Rodriguez came on screen. Captain Morrison, we're sending you technical data about our weapons and engines. Share it with Earth. Maybe they can build better ships before the aliens arrive. The data transfer took 2 hours. Jake's science team worked hard to understand the information. Much of it was far beyond anything Earth had developed. "Captain," Dr. Walsh said, "this technology could change everything. Their engines are 3 times more efficient than ours. Their weapons are 5 times more powerful. Can Earth's factories build this equipment?" "With modifications, yes. It will take time, but it's possible." Amy Carter interrupted them. "Captain, the Zephyrian fleets are arriving early. They'll be here in 6 hours. Jake looked at the tactical display. Thousands of red dots showed enemy ships approaching. In the center of the screen, one small blue dot represented the Retribution. "Captain Mitchell, the aliens are almost here." Mitchell's voice came back steady and calm. "We see them, Captain Morrison. It's time for you to leave. Get that data back. To Earth." "We could stay and help." "No. Your job is to warn Earth and help them prepare. Our job is to buy you time." Jake wanted to argue, but he knew Mitchell was right. The USS Defiant had to get back to Earth with the warning and the new technology. "Captain Mitchell, it's been an honor meeting you and your crew." "Likewise, Captain Morrison. Tell Earth that we're still fighting. Tell them we'll keep fighting until every human is free or every alien is dead." The communication ended. Jake gave orders to his crew to leave immediately. As the Defiant turned toward Earth, he watched the Retribution move toward the advancing alien fleet. One human ship against thousands of aliens. It should have been hopeless. But Jake had seen the recordings of previous battles. He had talked to people who had been fighting this war for 80 years. He had seen what humans could do when they refused to give up. Maybe the aliens were about to learn something new about humanity. Maybe they were about to learn why humans were dangerous. The Helix Nebula was beautiful and deadly. Clouds of gas and dust stretched for millions of miles, glowing with colors that had no names. It was also the perfect place for an ambush. Captain Sam Mitchell stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution as his ship moved into the nebula. Around him, his crew worked with the calm efficiency of people who had done this many times before. Sensors show 3,000 Zephyrian ships approaching the nebula, reported Lieutenant Commander Gary Tucker from the sensor station. They're maintaining standard fleet formation. Major Carol Stevens studied the tactical display. Same mistake they always make. They think more ships means an easy victory. Mitchell nodded. The aliens never learned. In 80 years of fighting them, they had used the same tactics over and over. Big fleets, direct attacks, overwhelming firepower. It worked against most species, but humans were not most species. "Tony, are the weapons ready?" Mitchell asked his chief engineer. Lieutenant Tony Rodriguez grinned from his station. "All systems green, Captain. We've got full power to the main guns and torpedo tubes loaded with the new antimatter warheads." "Janet, what are the aliens saying to each other?" Communications specialist Janet Cole listened to her equipment. "Standard fleet chatter, Captain. They're confident. Admiral Zextoth is telling his commanders this will be an easy fight." Mitchell almost felt sorry for the aliens. Almost. Then he remembered his homeworld burning and 30,000 dead. "Colonists!" "All hands. This is the captain," he announced over the ship's communication system. "We're about to engage a Zephyrian battle fleet 3 times larger than any we've faced before. But we've been preparing for this fight our whole lives. Today, we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity." The crew responded with quiet determination. These people had been born into war. Their parents and grandparents had fought. The same enemy. They knew exactly what they were fighting for. "Enemy fleet entering the nebula," Gary reported. "They're spreading out into attack formation." Mitchell watched the enemy ships on his display. Thousands of crystal vessels moving through the colorful gas clouds like a swarm of angry insects. "Wait for them to get deeper into the nebula. The gas clouds will interfere with their sensors. The first rule of fighting a larger enemy was to make them fight on your terms." The nebula would hide the Retribution until the last moment. It would also make it hard for the alien ships to coordinate their attacks. "Captain, the lead elements are in position," Carol reported. "Begin the attack. Target the command ships first." The Retribution moved like a ghost through the gas clouds. Its dark hull was almost invisible against the nebula. When it opened fire, the results were devastating. The first volley of torpedoes struck 3 Zephyrian command cruisers before they knew they were under attack. The alien ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light that lit up the nebula like fireworks. "Direct hits on all targets," Tony called out. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation." This was the moment Mitchell had planned for. When the alien fleet lost its command structure, individual ship captains would make their own decisions. Some would attack, some would retreat, some would try to regroup. The perfect formation would become chaos. "Next targets, Gary. 2 heavy cruisers bearing 270. They're trying to coordinate a counterattack." The Retribution turned smoothly through the gas clouds. Its weapons locked onto the new targets. More torpedoes flew out, followed by energy beams that cut through alien shields like they were made of paper. 4 more enemy ships destroyed, Carol reported. The rest are firing blind into the nebula. Energy beams from hundreds of alien ships lit up the gas clouds around them, but they were shooting at shadows. The human ship was never where they expected it to be. Admiral Zextoth stood on his flagship, watching his fleet tear itself apart, trying to find one human vessel. His tactical display showed ship after ship, disappearing from his formation. "Where is it?" he demanded. "How can one ship hide from 3,000? General Keftar studied the sensor readings. "The nebula is interfering with our targeting systems, Admiral. The human ship appears, fires, then disappears again. Then order all ships to fire at everything that moves. Admiral, if we do that, we'll hit our own vessels." Zextoth's 4 arms moved in frustration. "We're already hitting our own vessels. At least this way we might hit the humans too." The order went out to the fleet. Zephyrian ships began firing in all directions, hoping to hit the hidden enemy. The result was predictable. More alien ships died from friendly fire than from human weapons. "This is madness," General Keftar said quietly. On the Retribution, the crew watched their enemies destroy each other. "Enemy fleet cohesion is breaking." "Down," Gary reported with satisfaction. "Half their ships are shooting at the other half." Mitchell allowed himself a small smile. Panic. They've never fought an enemy that refused to line up for slaughter. The battle continued for 6 hours. The Retribution would appear from the gas clouds, destroy several enemy ships, then disappear again before return fire could be accurate. Each attack made the alien fleet more disorganized and desperate. "Captain, I'm getting communications from some of the alien ships," Janet reported. "They're requesting permission to retreat." "What's Admiral Zextoth telling them?" "He's ordering them to hold position and keep fighting." Mitchell nodded. The alien admiral was making another mistake. Good commanders know when to retreat and regroup. Pride and stubbornness got more soldiers killed than enemy weapons. "Tony, how are our weapon systems holding up?" "Running hot, but still functional. We've fired over 200 torpedoes, and the energy weapons are at 80% capacity. Ammunition. Status. We've got enough for another 4 hours of fighting at current rate." Mitchell did quick math in his head. They had destroyed about 400 alien ships so far. That left over 2,000 still fighting. Even with the aliens shooting at each other, the Retribution couldn't keep this up forever. "Carol, are the aliens learning anything from this fight?" Major Stevens studied the tactical patterns. "Some of the ship captains are getting smarter. They're staying together in small groups and being more careful about their targeting." Time to change tactics then. Mitchell had been saving his best weapon for the right moment. The Retribution carried a special torpedo designed by his engineers. Over many years of fighting, it was bigger than their regular weapons and much more destructive. "Tony, load the planet killer torpedo." The crew went quiet. They had only 3 of these weapons, and each one took months to build. But sometimes you had to use your best weapon to win. "Target the enemy flagship," Mitchell ordered. Gary worked at his sensors. "Admiral Zextoth's ship is in the center of the fleet, protected by 50 escort vessels." "Not for long." The Planet Killer torpedo was different from regular weapons. Instead of just exploding, it created a chain reaction that spread outward from the impact point. When it hit Admiral Zextoth's flagship, the explosion expanded like a growing star. The massive alien command ship simply vanished in a ball of white light. The explosion kept growing, reaching out to destroy the escort ships around it. Within seconds, 51 Zephyrian vessels were gone. The remaining alien fleet stopped shooting. Complete silence filled the nebula as the aliens tried to understand what had happened to their command ship. "Enemy fleet is dead in space," Gary reported. "No movement, no communications." Mitchell opened a channel to the alien fleet. "Attention, Zephyrian vessels. This is Captain Sam Mitchell of the human ship Retribution. Your admiral is dead. Your fleet is broken. You have one chance to live." Hundreds of alien ship captains listened to his words. "Leave this space immediately. Return to your empire and tell them what happened here. Tell them that humans will not be conquered. Tell them that every ship they send against us will be destroyed." Some alien ships began to move away from the nebula. Others stayed motionless, waiting for orders that would never come. "Tell them," Mitchell continued, "that we are coming for them next. Every world they have conquered will be freed. Every species they have enslaved will be liberated. The Zephyrian Empire ends here." More alien ships began to retreat. Within an hour, less than 300 remained in the nebula, and most of those appeared to be damaged or abandoned. "Captain," Janet called out, "I'm receiving a transmission from one of the remaining alien ships." "Put it through." A Zephyrian commander appeared on the screen. He looked old and tired. "Human Captain, I am Commander Velnoth of the Ninth Fleet. I surrender my remaining ships to you." Mitchell was surprised. In 80 years of fighting, no Zephyrian had ever surrendered before. "Why?" he asked. The alien commander looked directly at him. "Because in 3,000 years of empire, we have never seen anything like what you just did. One human ship destroyed the greatest fleet we ever assembled. If this is what one of you can do, what will happen when more of your people come?" Mitchell thought about it. "Commander Velnoth, take your ships and leave. But first, I want you to do something for me." "What?" "Contact every species in the Zephyrian Empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that humans are coming to free them. Tell them that the age of alien oppression is ending." The alien commander nodded slowly. "It will be done, human captain." As the remaining Zephyrian ships left the nebula, Mitchell turned to his crew. "Damage report?"